Give him a hand, man.
When I found out that, first I was really excited about the film being in Newark, because I knew it would be a big turnout, right? And the first thing I did, I got hold to Larry and I got hold to Brother Zaid, and when I found out they pulled it, I did the exact same thing. I was happy because I knew that we can feel it, and being at any place to have a good demonstration, for them to pull it would be new. And, the mere fact that, top, y'all are the top in organizing.
Right.
Day after day, what a family we are. The planning, I come here to follow, what it is that's planned. I want to be a part of it.
There you go.
Oh, okay, all right. But I don't think it was a better place for them at this particular time, in history of what all is going on here. I did some research into, and I'm really, really hoping, and I keep putting this out here, I hope Steve sue these people, because, for the sake of us, as well, I said, we want to do, but an example, they always want to make an example out of us, and we have always turned it around on them and made an example to them. I'll never forget when, big guy, Michael Moore, he had put in his book, he went to France and came back, and several things was happening, and I come back, my son, the cops that came into his house, threw him down on the floor and had a shotgun up to his head. And Eddie Africa's son and our friend, they had just, they grew up with, and this is all, like as soon as we come back from France, and he did a magnificent, thing in France. The cop, came up against Big Brother. He was coming out his car, his two kids had just ran in the house and shot him dead. And then, we get this phone call from people who was telling us that Michael Moore was on Amy Goodman's show, and they said that, they went and got the book, and Amy said she had read the book from beginning to end. It was a great book, and Michael was
Show the film!
Mumia, can you hear us?
I can indeed.
We can hear you. Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Show the film! Show the film! Show the film! Power to the people! Power to the people! Power to the people! Brother, we're so glad to hear from you. We'd like you to give us some opening remarks.
Well, dear brothers and sisters, on the move.
On the move.
Thank you for your support, your standing up, your presence. Thank you for being here. Thank you for standing in support of the film Long Distance Revolutionary, a film that now is banned in Newark. Think about that. Of all the many things that could have been banned in Newark, why Long Distance Revolutionary? Why is it that nobody wants to ban something that you want banned? Why don't they ban brutal cops? Why don't they ban stop and frisk? Why don't they ban schools that don't teach
Educational Institution in Hanoi and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Newark, one of the blackest cities in the country, and they banned long-distance revolutionary.
Wow.
One of the blackest cities in the empire, and the hands of cultural imperialism covers your eyes as if you are children. From this movement should come the impetus for not just a truly independent, free movie movement, but further, a truly independent media project. That'll show that you aren't children, but free women and free men who will invest in programs and projects that tell our people stories without apology. As ever, I urge you there to build a movement, build a movement, build a movement.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Years ago, one of Newark's sons, Amir Baraka,
Yes,
played
sir.
a key role in building a black arts movement here. A cultural project that brought not just black theater, but free avant-garde jazz to the people. From the people, to the people. That's what needs to happen now to rebuild not just the movement, but to rebuild our minds, our souls, our community, and our world. That's what I'm talking about. On the move.
On the move. On the move. Brother Mumia,
Thank you all.
look, it's so good to hear from you. Can you tell us how can we best support the effort, the continued effort to free you? How can we do that?
I think that movie is a powerful tool, and I think that in Newark, of all places. So spread the word. You know, somebody is going to wake up from this movement, from this protest, and more people are going to see it today than would have seen it yesterday. So that's a success. You got to make a point. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. At this historical juncture, what general observations can you make about the movement, and what advice can you give us on how we can rebuild the movement in this country for social transformation?
Well, I think this is an important juncture in American history and, of course, African American history. What we learned by looking around us is that the political figures who come into power, some for the first time in the 1960s and the 1970s, and their successors, have everything but true political power. The question is, do they serve the interests of their people, or do they serve the interests of the system? We got to ask those questions, and then we got to answer those questions. So this is the time to learn. Now, if you were in Philadelphia as far back as 1985, you learned that a black mayor can be just as barbaric as anybody else. When they bombed the Wolf House in Philadelphia, it was a black mayor right there. So, I mean, we've seen black mayors, black police chiefs, black city council presidents, and black judges, you name it. We've seen everything but black power, but a movement to preserve and protect the lives, the dignity, and the well-being of black people. So, you know, we should learn from that. Learn from what we see, not from what we're told. And then we can begin to change this reality.
Brother Mumia, as you know, black youth are dying all over the country, in cities and other parts of this country in astronomical numbers. What message would you give to our young people, and what are your thoughts on this violence that's engulfing so many of them today?
Well, I think that it's not a surprise when you consider that that generation of young people grew up. Think about it this way. When I was in elementary school, public school in Philadelphia, the schools I went to then, back in the 60s and the early 50s and 60s and 70s, they were better than the schools that a child my grandson's age is.
Yes, they were.
Because the schools have fallen. Because there has been a clear attack on the whole public school system. If you expect the system to teach you, it ain't going to happen. We've learned that. Again, we've learned from what we've seen. And this generation that we have is proof that if a people are not taught their people's history, they will be mindless about 19 or 20 years old. And he said, Brother Mo, you ain't gonna believe what this young boy told me. And I said, what was that? And he said, the young boy came up to me, he said, oh yeah, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He said, was Martin Luther King a rapper? Think about it. Think about that. And he said, he looked at the guy, and he said, what did you say? He said, no, was Martin Luther King a rapper?
Wow.
He couldn't believe it. But this young man did not know. He'd heard the name, but he was like, damn, what album did he put out? Think about that. So, it's our fault for not teaching those kids their history so they could know not just what happened, but why it happened and who their ancestors were. You can't expect the schools to do that. We need to rebuild freedom. I really believe that.
Yes,
we had them back in. We had them in the South. We had them all across the country where the Black Panther was organized, in California. And, you know, young people learn their history and people struggling all over the world for freedom. And it transformed them, you see. That's a sign of truth. And I think that's why we don't have conscious young as we had.
Okay, Sister Fernandez wanted to ask a question.
Mumia, when we were driving up here from New York on I-95, we saw an electronic billboard calling for Assada's capture. And the compensation is not now at $2 million. Can you tell us about that?
And they named her a terrorist. Yeah, exactly.
And they named her a terrorist.
The FBI's most
I
wanted.
understand that because I heard that on the radio, and I'm not surprised.
This call is from the Correctional Institution at McConnelly and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Think about this, and I'm going to give you 3 examples. The attack, really the ambush on Assata, Zayd Malik Shakur, Sundiata Akoli, on I-95 of all places, on the same road you were riding on. That was an attack on them. Think about what happened to Fred Hampton in December of 1969, sleeping in his bed, drugged, and then shot and killed in his bed. And then think about the attack on the MOVE organization, again, that I referred to earlier. And think about which of those incidents are not terrorists. You know, black people have been living under terrorism for hundreds of years. The greatest terrorist organization in the history of the United States was the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
Think about it. That's the truth. And, you know, for them now to talk about $2 million, how about demanding $2 million bail for the cops who killed Fred Hampton in Chicago in December of 1969? How about demanding $2 million bail for the cops who shot Assata and shot and killed Zayd Malik Shakur when they were on I-95? How about demanding $5 million bail and the arrest of the police who bombed the MOVE House on May 13, 1985? Because they are terrorists. And the people need to demand that they be treated as such.
Yes, Brother Mumia, this is Larry Ham, Chairman of the People's Organization for Progress. I just wanted to let you know that as far back as 1985, the People's Organization for Progress, we took 2 cargo van loads full of clothes and food to the people who had gotten bombed in the neighborhood by Wilson Good at that time. So that's how far back we go with this issue.
Brother, I salute you, Larry, and I salute the POP for doing what they've been doing that far back and doing what they're doing today. Because, you know, the struggle continues. And that's a beautiful thing then, and this is a beautiful thing now.
What types of things should we be doing with regard to our other political prisoners?
I go back to the remarks I made earlier. It's up to us to build a movement. It's not up to the political class. It's not up to the elite class. It's up to everyday black people who are conscious, you see, of Maroon, Russell Jones, who are conscious of Sundiata Akoli, army of Spain, and they want black freedom. Those are our people. We can do no less.
Brother Mumia, quick, on the move. Can you comment quickly on the state of the media and black media in particular?
It is the worst I've ever seen in my life, and what that means to me is we need to build and reconstitute new, progressive, radical, and revolutionary media to speak to our people and to tell the truth about how our people live in this society. And, you know, much of the black media, not all, but certainly much of it, has certainly failed in that job. We got work to do.
Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Free Mumia! Go to Phil! Go to Phil! Go to Phil! Power to the people! Power to the people! He made it happen. Come on.
Well, I think really it's the movement to free Mumia that makes this happen. The movement has been doing this for 30 years. Pam Africa, who's here, has sustained this movement for 30 years. She's actually afforded younger people like myself and Domingo, who's here, the luxury and the honor to be part of this incredible movement that stands for the freeing of the Frederick Douglass of our time. If we think about what Mumia has done against the odds, it really shakes the conscience. He has stood ground. He stood his ground against execution on 3 different occasions. They've tried to silence him. They've tried to paint him as a monster, and every time he keeps on coming back stronger, he keeps on coming back sober, and with a determination to expose inequality, to expose the system, and to shine the light toward a new society. And that's why he's in there, and it's up to us out here to be for the people behind bars.